She's probably gone to cook a tea if she's got any sense. Yes, so tonight I'm going to show you a few techniques on how to do some forms of applique. And I've created a really peculiar pattern, okay, template. If you want it, I've produced it and you can have it, but it is a little bit quirky. And because in July, and Kath and I have discussed it, but we haven't discussed, thanks Anne, we haven't discussed the dynamics of July yet, but July is going to be Christmas. Sorry? Was that? Oh no. You know full well that it's always July, Christmas in July. So we're not going to be flooding you with Christmas stuff because we don't do that anymore. But if I come up with any patterns, I've got a couple of ideas, then they will be Christmas related. But like everything, they can be adapted to any time of the year, okay, except perhaps the one I'm going to do tonight. So as I say, I have got the templates for this, so let's just see how far. Oh, you're all right. So this is my Christmas tree for applique, okay. This is identical to that except it's flipped, okay. So and obviously it looks like a Christmas tree, but it's a wonky Christmas tree, okay. It's deliberately meant to be wonky. And I have a little crossover here. It's like, looks like a little heart, and I could not edit that out. So you've got a little heart there, and then you'd obviously put maybe an applique trunk or something like that. But I want to show you what we can do with this shape, okay? So the first thing you can do is to use the traditional method, which is using your bonder web, your heat and bond, all that sort of thing. So I'm not going to spend too long on this because a lot of you will have already done this before, but we'll do it anyway. Now, you know full well that if I trace this onto my bonder web, that's going to end up that way round. Okay, so you might want to think, this is why I've put 2 on there, you might want to think which way round you want your tree, because what I want to do is to create 4 or 5 on a background, slightly quirky, set them back, move them forward, all that sort of thing, cross them over, not cross them over, and I wanted the top to go different ways. So with any applique, you've got to figure that's going to be on fabric, it's going to go the other way, all right, as long as you're aware of that. So obviously what you're going to do, you're not going to use a heat erasable pen, but what you're going to do, in fact let's not do that because that would just confuse everybody. Let's find another pen, let's find a pencil, they're always good. Yeah, so all you're going to do is trace. Now look, I want you to realise that these are hand-drawn, these trees, and they're quirky and they're wonky. They're meant to be, which means that if you decide to draw this out, and some people have difficulty with drawing, I get that because I have shaky hands. So what you can do is you can just do little strokes like this and follow the line of the curves, okay? And you can just do little strokes. They don't have to meet up with each other, but just to get the general shape of what you want to create, okay? So you'll not see me, hold on, I'm going to try and do it. You'll not see me do this. Hardly ever will you ever see, in fact, look, I've had to break the line. I will never do that. I will never do one straight line. I will always do a bit of a sort of sketchy line, okay? Because at the end of the day, whatever I decide to use and cut out, that then becomes mine, because nobody else will have a quirky looking wonky tree quite like mine. And it could be when I cut the whole thing out that I won't follow the lines at all, because that's the sort of person I am. But just follow the lines and you'll end up with a tree. Phew. Okay, so this is one I did earlier, and actually it's that way round, but that's okay. So all you're going to do is cut round it. Have a look on the back. This is the glue side. There was a reason for that. And so you're going to draw it, and then you're going to cut round, and you're going to cut round with about a 1/4 inch gap all the way around, and then you're going to apply it to your fabric. So let's quickly do that. I've got 3 or 4 things I want to show you, so I'm going to try and do it super speedy. But if there's something here that you like what you see, then just watch the video back. Let's get rid of 1 or 2 bits off my desk. Just watch the video back, and then you can decide if that's what you want to do. I'm sorry I'm not quite in the middle of everything. Okay, so we'll pick, I've got some beautiful fabric here. Let's have a look. It's Northcott. It's Northcott Fabrics, look. I mean, come on, it's just delicious, isn't it? So let's put that onto our fabric. So we're going to put this on the back. And you can pick out certain colours. So maybe we would want like a blue tree and blue and mauvey tree, or maybe you're going to go for the oranges. Well, I shall go for the oranges. And then I'm just going to, I know this is, you've got to understand that this is the wrong way round, okay? And I might even end up losing my lines, which is fine. Oh, have I got that on? Yeah. Yeah. So that's fine, look. So I've lost my lines, but it gives you the idea of how you do it. And if I could go round and I could put those lines in again, but I'm just going to cut a little bit smaller. So I'm just going to find my scissors. So this is kind of like a traditional way, or kind of. This is possibly the easiest way of doing applique, and this is possibly the one that you'll do on the Flowers in the Sunshine quilt. So I'm going to cut about 1/4 inch smaller. Because I was foolish enough to use heat erasable pen, which is fine. Yeah, so you might use this technique for your Flowers in the Sunshine quilt. Or there might be another one that maybe you can do. You remember we did the 12 Days of Christmas 2 years ago, and we did all sorts of different techniques on the same quilt, well, at least I did. And you could do that. You could do some of the flowers one way, and then some of the flowers another way. So I'm going to try and show you at least 3 ways to do. We'll see how we get on for time. So like I say, this is your traditional one, so you all should know how to do this. And it's pretty basic, and it does the job because it's gluing it down. But the only thing I would say about this is that it does make your fabric a little bit solid, because it's got the glue sheet. But heat and bond is a lot stronger than Bondaweb, but it sticks better in my opinion than Bondaweb. So just then take your paper off, and then obviously you're going to stick it onto your background, and I've got a piece of white fabric here, and we'll put that on. I haven't cut a piece yet, so I need to do that, so bear with. I was going to do that and then I forgot. So let me just tear a piece off here. That's it, because we only need this for demonstration purposes. Okay, so we can say this is perhaps our table mat or something like that. It's white on white, which is always lovely to use because it gives you a little bit of dynamic, if you like. You've got the texture, if you like, as well, because you can feel, sometimes you can feel the ink. So, try switching it on, Lizzie. Right, so we'll just use this piece as our example, okay? So really quickly, what we can do then is to stick our tree down. Now if you want a copy of these trees, then please say, and I'll get it out to you. I'll put it in the files. So we can just pop that down with our iron, apply a little bit of heat, it doesn't need a lot, and don't move it until it's cold. Okay, wait for it to go cold before you do anything. And then I'm not going to do it now, but what you can do then is you free motion around the outside. You could do your blanket stitch around the outside, and I'm hoping I've got time to show you that. You could do a hand running stitch all the way around. You could do a satin stitch. In fact, when we come to do the stitching part, I'll do a little bit of everything so you can see what you can do with just that one tree, okay? And it brings it to life. When you do free motion on anything, and actually any sort of stitching with your applique, get some tear away. I've got tiny little pieces here. There's a reason why I've got this. And put it on the back side of it, okay? So you've got some stability underneath your work. It makes a huge difference. And if you find it easier, use a hoop to stitch. But, I mean, you could just use your regular foot, your regular stitch, but you can also free motion, okay? And if you don't like your free motion, there is a gazillion ways of stitching this down, okay? Right, so that's the first one. The second one is really quite different. So we're going to get a piece of, this is H180. Wait, let me just check. Yeah, Visseline H180, okay? I'm going to cut a little piece off, make it a little bit more manageable. You don't need a lot, so I'm just hacking away at this. Okay, so you've got your H180 and you want glue side, well, I would, for the moment, I'd say glue side down, okay? Glue side down. Sorry, it's not a nice, neat shape. And then you need a piece of fabric. So I'll tell you what we'll do. We'll use this as a kind of guide. And the piece of fabric I want a piece of green at the bottom here. I'm going to use my tree. Now, where did my little piece of heat and bond backing go? Did I put it in the bin? Yes. All right. So with the backing that I just took off, I can figure out where I want to cut. So I just want a piece about yay big. Okay. So I'm going to cut that out. Like I say, I'm going quite quick. So you might, like I say, you might want to come back and revisit this, because you might think, oh God, I didn't catch any of what she said, and I had a slurp of me tea and I missed everything, because I want to get a few things in. Okay, so just give that a nice iron. Now, so we've got right side up of this. And now I want to put my H180 right side down, okay? So what I've got there is right sides together basically, and I'm just going to hold it down with my pins, and so it doesn't move, okay? So I've just got the two layers there. I've got H180 and I've got my fabric, as you can see, underneath. And I'm going to use my back of my Bondaweb. Now, obviously, if you haven't done a Bondaweb tree yet, you've got the pattern. So print a few off and cut round and have a little template. Or what you can do is you can pop your tree underneath, make sure it's sitting on your fabric. Oh, well, you don't need to do that, but you can draw it straight through your H180. Look, you can see that. But you know, let's do something different. There's no rules about what's right or wrong, so we'll keep it on there. I'm pinning it down so it doesn't move. Like I say, I have wriggly hands. Sometimes my hand shakes so much I'm hopeless at drawing or anything. So, and I'm sure you guys can be the same. Now, the other thing you can do is cut this out of freezer paper, but you absolutely cannot press it onto this fabric, because guess what will happen? Yes, it'll glue itself to the fabric underneath. So we're not getting an iron anywhere near this, which means I can actually use my heat erasable pen. And I'm going to draw all the way around my tree. And again, if you go off the line, you can see, look, I'm just scraping little lines. If you go off the line or make it slightly different to the one you made before, then that's fine, because it's all about being a little bit different. And I can make this a little bit bigger if I want to. In fact, I might when I come to stitch it. And you're literally just transferring the design onto the back of your H180. So my layers are right side up of my best fabric and right side down with the glue onto the fabric. Okay, so there's my shape, and I've drawn it. So what we can do now is that we can stitch on that line. So we're not going to give it a seam allowance, we're going to stitch on the line. Now I need to do this, so let's just take those out a minute. So it doesn't matter where your piece is, because you can move it about. So if I want more green, I can move it down and get more green. But I've got these little craft pins from Hemline, and they're absolutely perfect. These are not applique pins, but these are absolutely perfect for going into little projects like this, okay? And it keeps it away from your needle. And I think even old-fashioned dressmaking pins are sometimes better on a project than quilting pins, okay? So you can see they're going to keep right out of the way of my stitch line. So let's quickly, and I have got one that I've made, so we don't have to go through the pain of doing too much of this. And I might just put one there, and you're just holding it so it doesn't twist or distort in any way. So can you see if I move this around? Can you see my lines, my pins, and what it looks like? Yeah, it's quirky. So if I bring my machine in and we shove it under the machine, just try and get you on the side camera. Let's have a look. Oh, I've lost my connection again. My mouse is forever cutting itself off. I suppose that's a good thing, isn't it? Because then I don't run out of battery so quickly. Okay, so let's bring that in. Make sure I don't lose anything. So I would turn your stitch length down to perhaps even a 2, because we're going to end up turning this through, and we want a really strong little stitch. So I would turn it right down. So straight stitch, just use your regular foot, and if necessary stop, pivot and move your foot, so you know, to do the curves. So I'll do this as quickly as I can, because I've got more to show you. So just pivot if you need to. If you've got a machine where your needle stops in your work, then absolute bonus. So just whiz your way round, she says, not whizzing at all. Can you see okay? Is everything all right for you? Let me know what you think. It's very quiet out there. I haven't... oh yes please, the trees, Gillian. Okay, I'll put those in the files. Hold on a sec, let me just refresh. Yes please to the trees. Okay, right, super job. Right, well I can do that now if you like. If you hold on a sec. Where's my mouse? Oh, here it is. Just bear with. The wonders of technology. There we go. Hold on, bear with. 20 seconds, I'll get this done. So we just want my face screwed up. Can you see my face is all screwed up? So we want Creative Friends. Where are you? Creative Friends. Here we go. And files. Upload file. Wonky Christmas trees. Open and post. Okay, that's in there as quick as that. Because I didn't know. I mean, you might think, gosh, they're a little bit odd, but so I didn't know whether what you'd feel about it. So I didn't upload them in case nobody said, oh no thanks, or they said no thanks. I wouldn't blame you. Actually, I spent about an hour would you believe? And I deliberately wanted them wonky, and it's not an easy thing to do. You think, oh, yeah, that's easy, we just misdraw it, but no, it's not quite as simple as that. Oh dear, funny. So, like I say, small stitch with this, go down to a 2, because this is quite a delicate thing to turn through. So if you haven't got any H180, try it with the G700, the cotton, which we use quite a lot, Kath and I, for our projects. If you haven't got any of that, then a soft dressmaking interfacing would do. Iron-on is good, doesn't have to be though, and you'll see why in a sec. So just back where we started, just continue the stitching and then cut. I wonder if I can get the comments up on my oh, wrong mouse. I'm just going to see if I can get the comments up on my big page up here, because I can't get that at the moment. Just bear with, sorry about this. Sometimes I can see it and sometimes I can't. Feature preview, no. Bear with. I mean, it's not desperately important. Sometimes I just like to see the comments. Settings, let's try that. Block comments. I would love to block comments if I could see them. Okay, comments. Oh, there we are. Oh, Helena says she's going to catch up later. Her Wi-Fi playing up and couldn't find you. Oh, watching now. Oh, right. Okay. Yes, please retreat. Okay. Right. Super job. Yeah, we're sorted. Might be able to see the comments in front of me now, which is better than my phone. Okay. So look, I've stitched all the way round. All right. Stitched all the way round. Let's go on the overhead, and we can see that this. And like I said, I've done one earlier because I've got a couple of other things I want to show you. Let me zoom in a little bit. That's a bit better. We'll take the pins out, so I'll just put them on my mat for the moment. But you can see how useful the little pins are. And like I say, the old-fashioned dressmaking pins are really useful sometimes for this sort of thing where you don't need big pins. So all you're going to do now is you're going to cut a little bit less than 1/4 inch, perhaps go as much as 1/8 inch towards your stitch line. I'm just going to cut this out real quick. Like I say, I have got one that I've done, but I want to show you the process. And this is good for bigger pieces of work, well, little pieces as well, but this is quite good for bigger pieces. And you don't get a lot of bulk, which is quite nice because you're using that very, very thin interfacing. Okay, so let's just chop it about. And like I say, you're cutting about, let's say, 1/8 inch away from the stitching. Okay, that's and sometimes it's easier to cut on a drawn line than guesstimate your 1/4 inch stitching seam allowance. So that's my tree. Okay, all cut out, and then what you want to do is just go into the points very carefully. Oh, that's not a very good pair of scissors. And just trim these off a little bit. Not much, don't go crazy. You'll be surprised how delicate these points are now. And you're just going to go all the way around and just give them a little bit of help, really, for when you're turned through. Okay, so we've nipped into all of the inner points and we've chopped off all the outer points. Okay, and then all you're going to do is pop your scissors in the interfacing here, and just cut. And I mean, I would cut as far as you want to cut. You could go right down to the bottom if you wanted to. You could go like this. Just be careful you don't cut your fabric, but you know, don't cut too much, but you just want enough to be able to turn this through easily. Okay, so once you've turned it through, you end up with something that looks like this. Okay, and on the back you've got the opening, which is fine. You can, you know, work at it so it comes together. You can put a stitch in it if you want. I really wouldn't bother. But what you've got now is the glue side. You've got the glue side, so you can actually glue this down onto your work. So let's just put the iron on. And you know, depending on how well you stitch and how neat, I mean, you should get a fairly decent shape. You might find your points aren't quite so pointy, but once you've perhaps stitched it and put it onto your work, it's not going to matter a jot. Okay, so let's put it on our little background here, and we can just do a little bit of a quirky angle. Okay, we can just pop that down. Now what I want you to do is to do a little bit at a time, because the heat has got to go through the layers of your fabric, and then the heat then must activate the glue behind. So you want to be really careful and just do a little bit at a time. You might find the points don't hold as nicely as the rest, but that's okay. Just as long as it's stuck, then you've got something you can stitch, and easily as well. Okay, so just take your time, and because it's a really soft interfacing, you can hardly see it. I mean, it's almost invisible. There we go. So that now is pretty much, I would say, glued on. If you're not sure, flip it over, same with the other one, and put the heat on from the back, which is going almost directly onto the glue of the back of the tree. So from something that looked a little bit odd a couple of minutes ago, it doesn't look too bad now. Right, okay, so that's one method. That's two methods. Hands up, who wants to see a third method? Okay, it was you. Right, let's put that to one side. So let's take some freezer paper. Now, I think a lot of you bought some freezer paper not so long ago, possibly from my Amazon shop, and so you might have a really big supply of it, so why not, let's use it, shall we? So I'm going to use a pencil. Just going to look at the points of my trees, so I'm going to do it, I'm going to do that one again, I think. Yeah, why not? You can just about see through it. So again, you're just going to trace through, but if you've got your Bonder web still, you know, the one that you cut pulled away from your bond, you've got that as a template, so you could draw around that. Okay, and like I say, you know, you've got poetic license, if you like, with the shape of it, and you can, like I say, you can make it your own. You can see I'm being quite scrappy. So for anybody that says I can't draw because my hands shake too much, listen, mine seriously do, and this is how I do it. I do a real sketchy. So what I've done is I've traced my tree onto the non-waxy side of my freezer paper. If I do that, you can see it's a little bit shiny, and we're going to cut this out. Okay, so of course I did it right in the centre, but you could be a little bit more frugal, but you do get quite a bit of freezer paper in a roll. So let's just cut this down a little bit and try and do this fairly quickly. I mean, it'd have been easier if I'd chosen a bauble. But that wouldn't have been fun, would it? Watch them struggle with a bauble. With a Christmas tree is much more fun. And you can see I'm not taking huge amounts of notice of my lines. Don't think it's all about keeping on the lines, because it jolly well isn't. It's all about doing the best you can. You can see I'm I've got a massive Christmas tree going on here now. Which is great. So let's just get that cut out. We're nearly done. And the last little bit here. Yeah, so you know, enjoy that little moment of cutting out. It's quite good fun. Okay, so there's our tree. So we've got 2 trees of that sort of fabric on our project. So maybe we want to bring in some batik, and we'll kind of pick up some of that colour. So if I bring this in, okay, we've got this kind of greeny colour here. Well, if I open this up, yeah, look. This is the great thing if you can find a variegated type of fabric. So we could sort of go there and go limey green, or we could sort of go sort of there. I think I quite like that, don't you? So let's cut it out. So again, you can use your template that we've just cut out as your guide. Cut your fabric down to make it easier. You don't have to cut as great a bigger piece as what I'm doing. Let's just pop that there, and we're going to now, there is actually a bit of a right side and a wrong side to this, so we're going to now stick this down with our wax paper. Okay, so I have to keep switching my iron off because it clicks. You can hear it clicking in the background, and it always worries me. Right, so that's enough. We just want to apply the heat, and now we've got to cut round it again. All right, so again, just take your time. This time we want to cut around, well, not quite 1/4 of an inch and not quite 1/8 of an inch. Okay, so we're cutting around somewhere in between. So, but you don't want it too small and you don't want it too big. So you want it just right. But you're going to give yourself a seam allowance. Oh, excuse me, I've got a frog. Talking of frogs, Adrienne's got frogs in her back garden, and she really has a phobia of frogs. Ever since she was a little girl, it's in it. Every Christmas we'd buy her something with a frog on it, or because she hated them. She kind of has I think she has more a love-hate relationship with frogs, but she's got some real ones in her garden because I think William found some frog spawn, or he was given some frog spawn, and of course he's put them in a plastic tub in the garden, and of course they've gone from frog spawn to tadpoles to frogs. Well, they might even be toads, I don't know. But yes. So they're going to the local pond at the weekend because she's been really having troubles with them. So let's give it another iron. All that is on the back of that is wax. Okay, so the next thing, I just got to make sure I've got my pen handy. Yeah. Right, is to just snip into this at various bits. Okay, are we all okay? Cruel. Are we all okay? It's all. I don't know if it's quiet or not because all I can see is Rosemary watching. That's all I've got. Right, so I would cut into this. Now look, you're going to cut pretty much right up to the line. Can you see? Right up to the line, and you're kind of going to go round and give it some little snippage. You're not going to snip your point off like you would before. So you're going up to the line, you're going up to your paper. This is why we're using wax paper, because it stays put, basically. It stays put. But in order to get this fairly decent, we're snipping right up to the line. And I'm not going to do this, I'm not going to do all of this. Because, well, we'll try. No, I'll see how I get on, but I just wanted to, what time have we got? So we've only got 5 minutes. I was going to try and do a little bit of stitching. So we'll see how we get on with this. Right, now, I've got appliques. You don't have to have these. You can have whatever. Oh, well done, Rosemary. Rose's been watching a lot, so you don't need to get these. All right, there we go. That's what it looks like. They were invented by a lady in Spain, I think, but you can get them from Lynette Anderson, so they have to come all the way from Australia, I think. I don't think I got these in the UK, but I will stand corrected. You might be able to find them. So what you're going to do is, now we've snipped it, we're going to use the tools to help us turn over. So it's kind of like EPP, and you're going to do a little bit at a time, and each tool has a job. Okay, each tool has a job. So, and you hold them like a knife and fork. So you hold the paper with the pronged fork, and you flip this over with this little flippy bit, and I just hold it down like that, and they work beautifully together. And you see, but you could just find a sharp, you know, your what's it called, quick unpick, your pokey tool, anything like that. But you know, if you've got something that's supposed to do the job well, then that's what we use. See, and it's interesting. It's interesting to see different tools. So you're just using this. I don't think I went right up to the end with the glue. And then you're using it like tools. So they're both being used at the same time. This one's kind of squashes it out. Can you see what it looks like? Yeah. And they've both got different, they've got sort of pointy ends as well. So you might find those useful if you've got these. And then once you've gone all the way around, you've got the most amazing curved edge look. So it's absolutely fab, really is fab. So you're going to have to go all the way around. Obviously I'm not going to do that now. I'm going to try and do a little bit of stitching, and then once you've gone all the way round, obviously you're going to then use your little pins or more glue, and you're going to stick it onto your little project of trees, okay? And then you can go to town with, I could have done with been more straight. But anyway, you can go to town with stitching then, and French knots, and oh gosh, you know, all the stuff that you can use. And this obviously would be a bit smaller because all of this would be turned. And you see, we've just done that little bit there. And then you can go over the top, and then you can create a little collage of Christmas trees, okay? So let's real quick, because, well, you know, we can spend another 10 minutes doing this. Are you all okay for another 10 minutes? Yeah? And we'll try a few stitches out on the old machine here. Let me know, because I don't want to bore you rigid. Right, I'll use a green thread. Or no, maybe I'll use red so it stands out, because this is only my sample piece. I'll just oh, that's a bit of a filthy roll of thread. Let's get that on there. I'll just thread my machine up, bear with. A bit of a boring bit, but you know, goes with the territory, as they say. Oof. Come on, machine, behave. That's it. Right, let's get my pokey tool in there. Right, okay, so we're threaded up, and what I'll do is I'll zoom in a little bit and move my machine. Okay, oh, that's quite okay like that actually. Okay, please carry on, says Eileen. Okay, now obviously when I put these trees on, I overlapped them so you could see what I was doing, yeah? But I mean, quite honestly, you could just pull that away. You could heat it with your iron, and then you could pull that away and go round that tree, and then you could glue it back on again. But you can see how effective, I mean, that tree's not going anywhere, but you've got a really nice, interesting finish to it, a nice, neat finish. So you've got raw edge here, and you've got the nice folded stitched edge there. So it really does depend on what you like to do. So let's try a little something. Let's see what I've got here. Let's find I never know how to work this machine, only because I don't do it very often. I need a blanket stitch, so let's try that first, bear with. And number 6, is that right? 6, I'm not sure, doesn't look like it's a 6. Hold on a sec. Let's try that again. 6. Oh, that's better. Sorry. Okay. Now I don't know what sort of size this is going to come out at, and what you should do really is do a little test. So we'll do a little test, and also we need the tearaway stabilizer on the back. So let's just do a little test. Right, so that is really tiny. Hold on, that's the length. Let's try that. Oh, that's better. Okay. So always best to have a little test. I'll show you. So the first 3 stitches are the tiny stitches. Oops. And then the next are a better stitch. So that this particular blanket stitch is set on 2.2 for the stitch length, so the gap between the stitches, and then the width is 2.4, but you can adjust it, can't you? So using our tearaway, just pop it behind. It's good to get this actually, if you can get it on a roll, sort of bolt by it, then that's really handy to do that. So I would line up my needle. Now if your needle is on the right hand side, it means you're going to go from the right in, okay? So if it's on the, if your needle starts on the left hand side, then you're going to go from the in to the out. So I want you to think about the position of your needle. So if I turn that around, without losing too much of my desk, can you see my needle is on the right now, which means that I've lined it up with the edge of my work. So my next stitch will go in and then along and then in and then along and then in. Okay, that's the theory. Okay, so I have to turn it so I can see what I'm doing. So you're going to go slowly. You could also use a foot that have I got it in here? Yes. You can also use a foot where you can see the line of your fabric much better than your regular foot. So if you've got a foot like this in your stash, then get that one out, because you can see the line of your fabric much easier. And then you must just concentrate and pivot your work if you need to, and you might find that on your curves you're going to pivot quite a bit, but do it one stitch at a time. There's no hurry. And then you can just go round it. You can see I'm stopping and moving my fabric. You might think, oh gosh, that's tiresome, but it makes a really nice finish. And you know, you could variegate it, so when you come to the top of the tree you could have it in silver, something like that. Use your imagination. And this is all about having a play and doing something different. You get on a straight bit, look, you can go crazy, but just look out for the point in your I'm not sure. See, this is where an open toe will show you whether you're in the right place. I'm not sure, but oh, it's okay. So we'll do a little bit, and we'll just break the threads so you can see what that looks like with a buttonhole stitch. Look, that's lovely, isn't it? I'll hold it still so we don't get it blurred. So just take it slowly. You saw what I did. I didn't go super duper fast, did I? So, you know, just take your time. So the other thing you can do is literally put it back to your normal stitch. I would come down a wee bit, maybe come down to 2, and make sure your tearaway is still there. Get your needle so it's, in fact, let me change this foot, because quite honestly it makes a huge difference. That's it. Okay, so you can see now, if I turn this around, I can see where my fabric is, so I can put my needle down where I want it to be, yeah, and then put my foot down, and I'm right in the right place, can you see? And then all I'm going to do is just a little, I'm going to try and do this on the wonk for me. All I'm doing is really, really slowly, ooh, going round the outline of my tree. Okay, so it's a little bit wonky, but it's not, you can see it's not in front of me, so one stitch at a time sometimes. So this is absolutely not going to be perfect, but you get the gist. Right, I'll cut it off there so you can see. Okay, so obviously it's not perfect, but you can see just with a regular straight stitch, and like I say, take the stitch length down, follow the lines a little bit better than me, and just do a straight stitch. Okay, right. So one last thing, put your machine on zigzag. Again, I want you to test it. So put this under. So that's 2 wide. So let's take that down. So it's at 3.6 at the minute. So I'm going to take it down to 2.6, and I'm going to take the gap down to 1. Let's see what that looks like. That's still too big. I'm going to take the gap down to 7. Oh, that's a bit better. Okay, so let's have a little look at that. So you can see where I started off. Try and hold it while it focuses, and you can see what I've ended up with. That's not too bad. You can make that gap a little bit smaller. Mine is on 0.7, so you could put it down to 0.5, and then you'd have more of a satin stitch. And then you can make sure you've got some tearaway underneath it. Oh, didn't catch it on the last one, but that doesn't matter. And then you can go on the outside again. You can see where your needle is. My needle is on the right hand side. I don't know if you can catch that. So there's my needle there, and it is definitely on the right hand side of my foot. So I have to start, I know I have to start on the outside edge of my fabric. Okay, we pop that down. I'm going to try and do this so you can see. And then just take your time. I still think this is a bit of a wide stitch, and you don't have to go as slow as this. But that will give you a really nice, not quite satin stitch, but something that's not far off. And obviously I'm a little bit wonky because this is literally at the side of me. I don't know if you can see on the front. I'm sewing this from the side, so I think you can forgive me. But you can see I'm going off the fabric a little bit here. But you get the gist, which is the main thing. And then when you come to the edge, I would stop with the needle on the outside, and then you can turn, and when you turn you're actually correctly positioned to come down this outer edge, if that's what you want to do. Let's put it down again. And then, not a great start, but again, it's all about, obviously you're not going to go over your straight stitches, this is just to show you. But that gives you a really nice satin. I would like to have come in a bit more. If you look at the first bit, that's probably the best example. I went off a little bit there because of the angle I'm at, but it gives you not quite a satin stitch, but it still gives you a nice finish, nice zigzaggy finish. So out of all of these, like, I think the blanket stitch is the neatest, but it might be that you do a better satin stitch, a tighter gap, and not as wide. So I would say experiment. You could even get your pens out, because this is bonded on. You could get your micron pens out and actually draw in your stitches instead of actually stitching them. So you've got quite a few options with that, I think. But yeah, it looks pretty cool, doesn't it? And once all the trees are on there with all their different sorts of stitching, I think you'd have a lot of fun. I really do. Right, so that's it really from me, and that's all I wanted to do this evening. She says, going way over my time. I feel like I'm a wreck now. So obviously look back on all of that and see what works for you. This little sheet is in the files. Do with it what you wish. But look at all your Christmas fabrics. I know, it's nearly July. It's Christmas in July. We're not going to overload you with Christmas, I promise. Just the odd pattern here and there might be a bit Christmassy fabric. And have a little go at making your own trees. In fact, I don't know if any of you follow Adrienne, but she did some crumb quilting this morning, just like our lovely Kath did with Scrumble. You could do some crumb quilting and then cut your tree out and then stitch it on. Amazing. Decorate with buttons and beads and all of that sort of thing, and just make a little collage and pop it in a box frame, and then you can bring it out at Christmas. I think it'd be lovely. I might do just that actually. Right, that's me done. Thank you ever so much for watching. Thank you, Judy. Thank you, Jackie. Thank you, Christine. Thank you, Nicola. I'm thanking you as you're all thanking me. Thank you, Elaine. Thank you, Lynn. Yeah, have a go. It's just a little thing. Maybe, thank you, Tricia. Maybe it's something that you could just do one of. Okay, just do one of them, and decorate it beautifully. And I went into Hobbycraft the other day, and I bought a couple of things, and if I can get them. I've got great intentions of doing things with these. I bought a little tiny canvas, and it actually wasn't £5, it was cheaper than that. So this is like you know, like a solid canvas, and you could actually glue it on there and glue all your bits and beads and what have you. I've got a bigger one. Again, it wasn't this price, it was a lot cheaper. So you could do the same. That's exactly the same. And you could put 2 or 3 trees on there and just glue them down. You could even hand stitch through if you wanted to, so you can make a piece of art to come out at Christmas. But the other thing I wanted to show you was these little box frames, and you see the dimensions of it. What I want to do is some of the you know, the flower foot that we've been using, I want to do some lace using the flower foot, and I want to put it in a box frame. So again, with the trees, you could make 1 or 2 trees. I'd try and do 3, but I mean, it's not massive. And then again, when it comes to Christmas, you've got something to bring out that you've handcrafted. And quite honestly, if you get really good at it, you could sell them at the craft fair. I mean, that, you know, they're substantial things, aren't they? You know, you could sell them easily for £15 each, easily. How much was this? Do I know? No, I don't know. But it was Hobbycraft, so it wasn't expensive. Doesn't say, does it? Yeah, so you could get yourself like a box frame and do that. Right, I'm going. Thank you ever so much for watching. It's been an absolute treat as always. Kath and I will be looking at the schedule next week for July, and we'll be posting in 2 live videos on my page and 2 live videos here on Creative Friends. We've also got the beautiful needle case workshop starting on the 11th of July, where we're going to be making this over 3 Fridays, which is fabulous. I love it. And then on the 21st of July we start Flowers in the Sunshine quilt for 12 nights. And then on the 1st of August, we start our August challenge, which I think you're going to love. So lots and lots and lots going on in Creative Friends. So it's a lovely place to be. If you've got a friend that wants to be a creative friend, then tell them to go and sign up on the website, and they'll be most welcome. Be lovely. Right, I shall see you all again very, very soon. I might pop up next week and do a live. We've got a poorly Millie tomorrow because she goes to the vet for operation. So I'm going to be dog sitting for a couple of days to make sure she doesn't chew her stitches. So yeah, so that's me that's my role for the next couple of days. Anyway, lovely to see you. Thank you ever so much for joining me. I really appreciate it. I really enjoy your company, and I'll speak to you all again soon. Bye everybody. Bye.